remember the fact that you're representing your college and your university, and there's all these other people. You are not alone in opposing what this government is doing, and you are not incorrect in opposing what this government is doing. At the risk of sounding a bit too idealistic, you're on the side of righteousness and truth. I'm being correct. I'd also say you've all come here to march today under the banner Educate, Employ, Empower, and I think those are three things to keep remembering. I think we're here to show the government that what they're doing is ham-fisted, short-sighted and completely unforgivable. More power to you. I'd like to introduce the first speaker onto the stage. If you can, I want to hear all of your voices. I want to hear you all properly welcome onto the stage the Deputy President of the NUS, Tony Pierce. So properly go for it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tracy. Hello, and first off, I'm so excited to see so many of you here today. I know it is really disgusting weather, but I know that also thousands of you have travelled from all over the country, from Aberdeen to Aberystwyth, from Belfast to Bangor, and you have travelled here because you want to tell this government that what they're doing is absolutely not good enough. So well done to you, and thank you so much for staying for the rally. We're here to stand up for the students, and not just the ones who made it here today, but the ones back on our campuses, and the ones who haven't even made it to our campuses yet. Many of us have particular issues that we will bring up today, whether it's the scrapping of EMA, the trebling of tuition fees, dramatic cuts in teaching funding, nearly 1 million young people currently unemployed, the nature of postgraduate funding which is completely inaccessible, and the utterly shambolic mistreatment of those international students, especially at London Met this autumn. The ever-rising living costs students face and the insufficiency of student support funding, broken election pledges, students turned away from polling stations, and a government which shows absolute contempt for its voters.
I could keep going, and I'm sure you all could too. Because let's be clear, this government's ideologically motivated cuts agenda has been devastating for our generation. We're being the hardest hit for the mistakes of others. And as we approach banker bonus season, it's only too apparent who is to bear the brunt of this government's cuts. The government's cuts agenda is ideological, and it's an experiment with our lives and not theirs. The same politicians, the cabinet of millionaires who have enjoyed every last privilege, now tell us that we have to pay ever more for less, have to get by without, wait longer, retire later, earn less. The government's approach is bad for us, but we know that it will be bad for the whole of society. It's not just unfair and unjust, but it makes plain economic rubbish. And the incoherence in the government's approach is becoming only ever more apparent. The ISS said EMA was a good investment and that its cost was completely offset by its benefits. The Higher Education Policy Institute has said that the trebling of tuition fees will now cost the taxpayer even more money, and those are rising illogical decisions, not economic ones, from a government who believes in the market over the people every single time. But today we can't just prove what we're fighting against, we have to know what we're fighting for. An education system that's accessible for all, funded sustainably, and working in the interest of people, not according to the whims of the market. For an education system which allows people to access, achieve their potential, flourish and contribute back. A society in which we can tell people they're right to dream big, right to aim high, right to push themselves further, that there is a future worth fighting for. Our generation has so much to give. We're here because there's simply too much to lose. We're here because we're not just statistics and we're not a lost generation. We're standing up because we want to get on, learn more, do more, give more. We are standing up for ourselves and for generations to come. So thank you so much for doing exactly that today. See you later.
Thank you, Tony. Now, if you can welcome onto the stage, he's the author of the book Chaz, and he is an activist and a columnist, and he's wonderful. Please welcome onto the stage, Owen Jones! It is a miserable day out there, but I am anything but miserable. I am proud and I am inspired to be here. And I'll tell you why I'm proud and inspired. When this government came to power, government no one elect,
elected, when they came to power, people said, people won't fight back. We're not like the quick-tempered Greeks and French. And young people took to the streets and proved them wrong. Thousands of students took to the streets in 2010. And you know what they did? They gave hope and they gave confidence to others, to working people who said, if they can fight back, then we can fight back too. And that is our role today as well. Now, this is a plight facing young people today. Young people face, for the first time since World War II, a worse lot in life than their parents. Mass youth unemployment, not able to get an affordable home, cuts to youth services, the slashing of EMA, the trebling of tuition fees. It is a disgrace, a government of millionaires slamming the door in the faces of millions of young people. And what this government have tried to do is they have said we're all in this together, which has veered from the ludicrous to the offensive ever since it was first said. Because whilst ordinary people are having the biggest kicking since literally the 1920s, it remains boom time for the people at the top. Last year, if you were in the top 1,000, your wealth went up by nearly a fifth. The year before that, it went up by 30%. There is money in this country, and it is in the bank accounts of the millionaires who are funding the Conservative Party. So what we need to do is this. We've got to give people hope, because this government are trying to redirect people's justifiable anger at their ever-declining living standards, from the people at the top who cause this crisis, to people's neighbours down the streets, the working poor against the unemployed, over benefits, non-disabled people against disabled people over benefits, private sector workers against public sector workers over pensions. It is the politics of divide and rule. You've been robbed, so why shouldn't your neighbour be robbed as well? And we are there to give people hope and to direct people's anger at the people who plunge the entire world into the mess that we are in together. So let's link together our fight. We link together our fights, because other than the people at the top, we are all in this together. Let's link with the disabled people having their benefits taken away, the thousands who are dying after being found fit for work, the part-time workers having their tax credits taken away, the nurses having their pensions attacked. All of these people have one fight. We link those together. And my favourite quote of all time is this. It is a quote from Frederick Douglass, a 19th century African-American statesman, a freed slave, and he said this: "Power concedes nothing without a demand. It never has, and it never will. The only way we get change is the struggle and sacrifice from below, not the generosity and goodwill of those above. We have to fight for ourselves and for our futures, and you are at the forefront. So keep fighting. Fight. Occupy your universities. Stand in the proud tradition of peaceful civil disobedience and give hope to others. We stand together. We fight together. We will win together." Thank you.
Thank you, Owen. Before I introduce the next speaker, I have a small bit of admin. There's a student from the University of Coventry who's lost, and they'd like to meet their friends, and they're down at the front. Yeah, or maybe if you want to become friends with this student, you could go and say hello to them. It'd be a lovely start. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce onto the stage our next speaker. His name is Tim G. He's the author of Counterpower, Making Change Happen, and he's campaigned with Occupy, with Climate Camp, the Traveller Solidarity Network, and the NUS, amongst lots of others. So please welcome onto the stage, Tim G.
Thanks very much. What an honour to speak here in Kennington Park. I'm a researcher and author about the struggles that have come before. It was in this park where in 1986 gay people came together and said, it's okay to be gay, we have the right, the legal right to love who we want to love. It was in this park that the great poll tax demonstration of 1990 began, which didn't just stop the poll tax but also helped bring down Margaret Thatcher. That happened in this park too. And it was in this park in 1848 that the Chartists had their biggest demonstration of all, carrying a petition for the basic right to vote, which was so big that it had to be carried by horse and cart. They were calling for the vote, but that was just part of an ongoing movement for the redistribution of power, which we are continuing today. Let us take celebration from the fact that those people won. And yes, they went on demonstrations, but they also occupied, they also striked. They went on strike. They didn't see the demonstration as the height of their mobilization, and we have to learn from that. So nowadays, we have the vote, thanks to the Chartists and others, but still it feels like we don't have a choice. Each of us in this field has experienced 3 colours of government now: red, blue and orange, yet we've only experienced one ideology. It's an ideology that means that this generation of students will graduate with piles of debt into an employment market with 20 to 25% unemployment, maybe working unpaid in unpaid internships, getting further into debt, only to live on a planet which is on its last legs. Friends, there is something wrong, and we are the people to do something about that. But democracy is more than picking up a piece of paper and putting it in a box every few years. Democracy is our demonstrations. Democracy is our occupations. Democracy is our strikes. Democracy is our direct actions. Democracy is the strength of the relationships that we build in this struggle together. But it all links back to occupations as well. It was only a few days after our demonstration in 2010, our demonstration when Millbank was occupied, that the Conservatives fell behind in the polls. It was against the backdrop of our occupations in 2010 that the Liberal Democrats fell behind. If there was a general election tomorrow, the Conservatives would lose, and you have an awful lot to be proud of for that. You deserve a round of applause. But when we begin to win, then we also expect that there will be a pushback from the state, and we're experiencing that already. This week, Alfie Meadows was on trial. Alfie Meadows, who was hit so hard with a police baton that he almost died. Yet who was on trial this week? It wasn't the police officer, it was Alfie Meadows. We are all Alfie Meadows. There has been a pause in the trial. He's on trial again in February. We must take this opportunity to all say together, drop the charges now! 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 And what this reminds me of is a quote from that great political scientist, Obi-Wan Kenobi. Obi-Wan Kenobi, who said in Star Wars, or almost said in Star Wars anyway, "You can't win, Dave. Even if you strike us down, we will be more powerful than you can possibly imagine. Keep up the fight!"
Hello. I'd now like to introduce our next speaker onto the stage, who's a journalist, broadcaster and activist, Verena Davies.
Hello everybody! Oh, we might be wet, but we do believe in something! It's fantastic to be here today. I really wanted to tell you the story about a girl I interviewed, 19 years old, last year, who was a student and working in a strip club in Southampton. And she said it made her feel cheap and dirty to be working there, but she was doing it to stay afloat. Her loan had come in late, and it wasn't enough to cover her rent, so she maxed out on her credit cards. And friends, she isn't alone. The NUS has shown that there is now an £8,500 funding gap between the amount that people receive in loans and the amount they need to meet their living costs. And we know only too well that when the minimum wage for young people is just £4.98 an hour, and when jobs and vocational education are hard to come by, this is the gap between continuing higher education and dropping out. It's the gap between pursuing your dreams and resigning to something less. And what I want to stress today is that this isn't just a moral outrage, this is also economically unaffordable. If this country is going to get back on its feet, it's going to need to make the most of all of its students, from all of its young people, from all of its backgrounds. It cannot afford to educate only those with private means. It cannot afford to have talent dropping out from the poorest communities because they can't afford to make their rent. We need to stop treating education like a brute cost and start treating it like what it is, which is the greatest investment we can make in this country. But friends, we have a lot of work to do. It's too easy to be ignored in parks in the rain. We have to take this argument into the meeting rooms, into the discussion rooms with politicians, and force them to give us a response. We need to ask this government publicly why, if it's so against debt, it wants to saddle this generation with so much going forward. We need to ask our Labour leaders why, if they're so keen to support young people, they don't support or commit to a credible alternative to university funding. Remember that we are not powerless. The youth vote will be incredibly important in 2015. And because it is untapped, it offers huge benefits and promise for anyone who dares to speak to it. And achieving that wouldn't just be good for the students in this country, or the young woman in Southampton that I spoke to, but for the future benefit of the whole of this country. Thank you.
I'm the President of the National Union Students. I've got a message to some of you here today. When people speak about division within our movement, when people say that we're not united and picking the right fights, fighting the real enemies in government rather than amongst ourselves, we'll witness it here. And we're doing out. And so, I now speak to every other one of you progressive campaigners that are here to start a movement that will fight this government in every way possible. The movement that is here today to bring the public on our side. The movement that knows that united we are 10 times stronger. And I'm going to stand here and listen to the progressive campaigners in our movement and ignore these people. And I invite you to join me. I don't know. I'm sorry, I can't even hear you anymore. And so now, I'm proud to invite the President of the UCU, Kathy Taylor, to talk to us.
Kathy Taylor, Vice President in 2010, when students and lecturers were the first people to bring this government into line and saying that we were not going to put up with their punitive, draconian, right-wing policies. And we were the first. We stood and marched together then, and I bring you support greetings from all the members of our union, from lecturers, from staff who work with you day in, day out, who have your interest at heart, who care about your future, and who will be standing with you every time you show that you're not prepared to put up with what this government has done. Can I just talk about Nick Clegg? Can I just say to you in the front, it's
Anybody to speak? Yes! Can we just have that again? Anybody want to hear from UCU today? Talking about... Yes! I just want to say one word about Nick Clegg and the Lib Dems, because they broke a very important pledge to us, didn't they? And he has had the gall to apologise for saying and pledging something that he says he couldn't do. Well, if he wants to count on the votes of students and lecturers in the next election, he'd be far better off apologising for tripling tuition fees, for axing EMA, for being part of a government which is erecting barriers and obstacles and not doing what they should be doing for the youth and the adults of this country. Cameron said we're all in it together, but we're not, are we? As somebody's just said, last year,
the top 1,000 people had 18% tax rises. They had tax breaks, whilst at the same time this government has increased the amount of child poverty by nearly £1 million. We need to keep up our fight, don't we, against this government, and we need to keep fighting together. The two constants in colleges and universities are students and staff. And we, students and staff, and the values we hold, will be here long after this current crop of millionaires in the cabinet have gone forever. I just want to finish now. We must continue together to fight, to make the case for education as a driver of social mobility, and for education to be the foundation for economic growth and the recovery that Osborne and his crew's cuts will not do. Thank you for your continued support for my members. You can be sure you can continue to count on our support into the future. Thank you. Hello everybody, my name's Roger Mackenzie, I'm Assistant General Secretary of Unison, and I'm proud to bring support from Unison here today. Boo me if you want, but I'll tell you what now, I see flags of people holding up for people in Palestine. They are real people in struggle. So the bombing of Gaza has to stop now. I'm proud to bring support from Unison. I'm proud to bring support for Unison here today, because I can see what's going on, where these Tories are trying to bomb us back to Victorian times, where they're trying to make education a privilege for the rich. And I tell you this now, we cannot allow that to happen. We must stand together. It's the only way forward. When they try and take away our EMA, they try and take away your right to a job after you've studied for years. They try and denigrate the young. They denigrate black people. They denigrate the disabled. There is only one way forward, and that's for us to stand together as people. We have to stand together, not dividing ourselves. We must stand together. And I tell you this too. There's a writer called June Jordan who once said, there is no knight in shining armour going to come to our rescue. There's no cavalry that's going to come over the hill to our rescue. The only thing that we've ever had is each other. And as soon as we start to divide amongst each other, then we will lose. We will simply lose. is only us. We are the ones that we've been waiting for. And if you wait for some ridiculous plan, for somebody to come to our rescue, for some politician to say that they've got the answer, we will simply lose. It will never happen. General strike, yes. Great stuff. Let's stand together. Let's refuse to be taken in by these people who want to create divisions amongst us. Let's keep our eyes on the prize. Let's make sure that we stand against these people who have their privilege to fall back on. Let's make sure that those people who don't have a voice can see some hope here in this park today. Let's make sure that those people who don't have megaphones can stand up and see that there are people who are prepared to stand up for what's right in this society now. Thank you very much. Stand up and fight.
Hello, my name's Gail Cartmel. I'm Assistant General Secretary of the UK's largest union, Unite. I'm going to keep this short because it's pissing down and you're all soaked through to the skin. Who here would rather die on their feet than live on their knees? Who here understands that only if workers and students are united, we will win? We will win if we keep our eye on the ball. We all know that the Clegg-Cameron alliance is toast. Let's go for unity. Let's fight to win. The workers and students united will never be defeated. Thank you.
By a coalition government both metaphorically and now in reality. Well done for coming on this march today. Well done for starting something special. But special thanks to those who never been on a protest before. Those people that have taken their first step to being activists. The ones that will go back to our campuses and fight for real change. In a way that doesn't take people to try and shout the loudest, but actually achieve real change for real people. Thank you to each and every one of you. Right a bit. And so, we come here today because I'm fed up with having promises made and promises broken. A parliament that promised not to increase tuition fees and then trebled it. A Prime Minister that promised to protect the money that went to the poorest college students and then ripped it away from them. Enough is enough. We have come here today to say that we refuse to simply become consumers in an educational market. We refuse to become the lost generation. They say that there's no choice. They don't understand the realities of politics. But I say we understand the realities of politics all too well. You're getting closer, keep trying. We understand the disabled student who have to justify and re-justify the benefits just so that they can live and have a happy life. They understand politics. We understand the 17-year-old who's had their lifeline ripped away just to get to college. They understand politics. And the thousands of young people that this year won't be given a place at university, they understand politics only too well, even if some comrades don't. on! This man! Everyone is...
Get off the fucking stage, you dumb cunt! Get off the fucking stage! You fucking idiot!
My fucking son's there! Don't even go there, mate! Don't even go there! If you want to fight these bastards in Parliament, fight together!
That's what I'm trying to get them.
You don't break barriers that can't here! Thanks!
NUS, obviously. Sorry? NUS doesn't compete. They're not anarchists, they're socialists. Because you want to call that. They had a plan. It's car paid, isn't it? Who you work for? I was just a reporter for Citizen Radio. Yeah. Oh yeah. I just never see anyone. Did you know what happened to the little kid there? You see it? He was doing that. Yeah, I see the little kid. And the man grabbed the kid. The man grabbed the kid. NUS. Yeah, no, I wrote the bill. You went in there. It's part of it. About having a radio on that? Yeah.